Alright, welcome back. In this Maya tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make an nCloth blanket and pillow for the bed. Okay, so first off, I'm going to make the pillow because that'll go underneath our blanket and we'll want our blanket to drape over that. And this will kind of introduce you guys to nCloth in general. So I'm just going to drag out a cube here. About yay big. Okay, so I'm going to give it some divisions first. Give it a couple that way. Give it a couple that way. Okay, and I'm going to move it up and over onto a bed. It's a little big. I'm going to scale it down a little bit. Big this way. I don't know. What is a good pillow size? Something like that, maybe. And what you want to do is with the cube selected, you'll want to go to, in your nDynamics menu over here, you want to go to nMesh, create an nCloth. It'll create this nice little gravity node here, and then if you come in here and type in the number of frames you want, I'm going to put in 500. Actually, I'll move it over. Whoops. Rewind. Pull it over here. If you play it, you can see that our pillow is falling because gravity is being applied to it. So the next thing I want to do, I might have already done this when I was preparing this video, but we have to make these passive colliders. So we got nMesh, create passive collider, like so. So then we can pull our nice little pillow we made over here, and we can drop it onto our bed. Okay, so if you notice, when it drops, it concaves down. It doesn't look very round or nice. We could add divisions in it. I'm going to keep the divisions lower for the video just so it doesn't overtax my computer while I'm trying to screen cap as well. So you can certainly add more divisions. It's just going to take longer to render and to evaluate. But there's some settings we can make to make it puff out and be a little more pillow-like. We can up the thickness a little bit. Not too much. Something like that. So that helped a little bit. If we go to the attribute editor, in this nCloth shape 1, we need to make sure collide and self collide are on. And if we come down here to pressure, I already have it open because I was playing with it, and we can up this pressure. A little bit of this goes a long way, so don't over adjust it. Okay, it looks like we can up it some more. Okay, so now as you can see, it's starting to retain some of its poofed out shape once it's resting on the bed. And here's the problem. I upped the thickness too much, and so it's actually not touching the bed. So I need to go change that. Thickness down like that. Let's try that again. Also, we're not going to be able to totally get rid of that gap because of collider evaluations and such, that it does it faster and less accurate in this viewport. So let it drop again. Okay, so I'm still going to up the pressure a little bit. The pillow you can get away with a lot more pressure than the blanket. Okay, so something like that. So if we stop this and we hit 3, because this goes to smooth shading, you can see we have a very nice pillow shape on our bed. Whoops. So you ask me, well, I can't move it right now because it's being evaluated on this frame, because I can keep playing it. And if I rewind it, it goes back up there and goes flat again. So one of the things we can do is, once we get the pillow where we want it, we come to edit, or modify, sorry, freeze transformations. It's going to go over here, but we are able to move it now, and I believe if we play it, oh, it still does evaluate. So I told you the wrong one, I'm sorry. So we play that, and now it's falling through our bed. Lovely. It's going to do what I did, because I believe I moved the evaluation node around. Okay, so play that. Collides with our bed now. Good. We're back to where we started. Okay, so now if we go edit, delete by type, history. Now, if we rewind it, it stays put where it is, because it is now a polygonal object. And it doesn't, so it's not being evaluated anymore with the nCloth and the gravity. So now we've made our pillow. Let's make our blanket real quick. So I'm gonna make a cube. I'm gonna go to my top view here. I'm going to drag a blanket shape across my bed. Drag some height to it. It's too thick, so I'll just scale it down. My channel box, I'm gonna adjust, leave it at like 30. If you want a semi-smooth cloth at all, you'll need to go higher than this. You'll need to go like 40 or 50. Whoops, I want one around the edge. And give this 30 as well, for consistency's sake. So if we move it up, and we go to nMesh, create nCloth. If we play this, it should collide with our bed. Okay, so it's colliding with our bed, but it's not colliding with our lovely pillow that we made. And this is because we need to make this a passive collider as well. So nMesh, create passive collider. We'll play this again. This should now curve around our lovely pillow now. Okay, so this isn't bad. And if we smooth that, that's actually a pretty good comforter shape. So we could play around with the pressure some if we wanted to. Come in here to our attribute editor. We could up the pressure a little bit. So see that it poofs out as it falls down. So we can have a kind of a nice poofy down comforter look. We get nice wrinkles in it. And yeah, so the one thing you want to watch out for if you're doing an nCloth blanket like this is that if you delete the history, you want to planar map it before you make it an nCloth and drop it on here, so you get a flat, perfectly flat surface to work with. So I would rewind it, select it, go back to my polygon menu, create UVs, planar map, pull up my dialog box, do it from the y-axis, apply, hit B. I had soft select on. So you see we get a nice blanket shape here that we can map on later with a pattern or something like that. But if we go, so we'll go to our object mode and evaluate, it should still evaluate. And it does. And so we'll let it drop, let it poof out, get some of that air out, deselect it. Okay, so here's the problem, is that when it changes that, it reevaluates the UVs as well. So we'll want to apply the shader beforehand, because I believe, if I open up the hyper shader, we'll make a Phong real quick, even though bedspreads are not shiny usually. Close that. Change my color to checker. And show. Okay, so it does work, right? I couldn't remember if it, when it reevaluated, if it messed it up or not. So just make sure you planar map it before you drop it on your object. Then we could come here, we could do edit, delete by type, history, and voila, we have a frozen blanket that we can do what we want with. Okay, and another thing is we smoothed it by hitting 3 on the keyboard. If we hit 1, this is what it actually looks like. If you want it to be the 3 smoothing all the time, that's just like a preview of what it would look like if it was smooth. You can go to edit. You can do the same thing with the pillow as well. Let's see. No, it's modify. I'm sorry. Convert smooth mesh preview to polygons. Sorry about that. It seemed like my problem was due to it wasn't in preview mode, and so it wasn't evaluating correctly. So if you come to modify, convert smooth mesh preview to polygons, it'll give us the actual geometry. You hit 1. This is the actual geometry that's needed to make it that smooth. Not necessary, but in previous versions of Maya, when you rendered it in smooth mesh preview, it didn't evaluate it as such. It would revert back to the 1. So if we hit 1 on this, we isolate selected, it would look like this when you rendered it, even though in the viewport it would look like this. So it's a recent thing in Maya, so something to be aware of. It's usually the last step. If I'm smoothing something like that, I'll go through and take everything that was in smooth preview mode and convert it back to solid, real polygons. But anyway, that's how you do nCloth, and that's how you'd make a pillow and a blanket, and I hope this was helpful. And I'll see you all in my next video.